All right, so today we cover six current affairs, sharp, relevant, and exam ready. Let's go. So, first of all, we have the West Asia War, India's strategic response. Now, India's response to the West Asia War demonstrates simultaneous engagement with all parties. India abstained on UN Security Council resolutions condemning both Israeli attacks and Iranian retaliation. The External Affairs Minister visited Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, and Israel within 1 week, conducting shuttle diplomacy. Now, India negotiated safe passage for evacuating citizens with all warring parties. Simultaneously, India secured temporary oil supply agreements with US, Russia, and West African suppliers to replace the Gulf oil shortages. Now, India maintains a strategic partnership with Israel for defense technology, Iran for Chabar port access, Saudi Arabia and UAE for energy and investments, and US for broader strategic alignment. Now we need to understand that with 85% of oil import dependence and Strait of Hormuz closed, India faces existential energy crisis. This crisis forces pragmatic rather than ideological foreign policy. Evacuating 8.5 million Indians from war zones requires cooperation from all parties controlling territory and airspace. India cannot afford antagonizing any faction by taking sides. The evacuation operation demonstrates that diaspora protection sometimes necessitates unprincipled diplomacy. The West Asia War, regional conflict involving Israel, Iran, and proxy forces, strategic balancing, maintaining relationships with competing powers simultaneously, energy security, reliable access to oil and gas without supply disruptions, multi alignment, India's policy engaging multiple powers without exclusive alliances, diaspora protection, government responsibility for salary of citizens abroad, and non alignment 2.0, which is contemporary version of Cold War non alignment adapted to multipolar world. All right. So next we have the VB Gram Act, Employment Guarantee. Now a private members bill, the Village Based Guarantee Act of Rural and Agricultural Manpower Act proposes guaranteed employment for all rural adults seeking work. Unlike Manreg, which provided 100 days annually, VB Gram guarantees 150 days at minimum agricultural wages. The bill mandates work within 5-kilometer residence and requires payment within 7 days. It includes agricultural work, unlike Manreg, which excludes agricultural labor. The bill has cross-party support, but government opposes, citing fiscal unsustainability. Now, Manreg was revolutionary in 2005, but faces implementation problems. There were wage payment delays, corruption in measurement of work, limited work categories, and 100-day cap insufficient for year-round employment needs. Right? VB Gram addresses these issues. 150 days cover more of the agricultural lean season. 7-day payment deadline reduces delay-related distress, and proximity requirement ensures local work availability. And including agricultural work aligns with the rural economy realities where agriculture dominates employment. Now, the right to work debate has ideological dimensions. Proponents argue employment is fundamental right, necessary for life and dignity under Article 21. They cite constitutional directive principles. Article 41 mandates state ensures right to work. Article 43 requires living wages. Right now, rural India faces crisis. Agriculture, agricultural income stagnation, climate-induced crop failures, mechanization reducing labor demand, and youth migration. Right, Manrega provided partial safety net, but 100 days at 200 to 300 daily wage generates only about 20,000 to 30,000 annually, insufficient for family sustenance. Whereas VB Grams 150 days would provide around 45,000 to 50,000 annually, closer to poverty line thresholds. All right. So we have VB Gram Act, which is proposed law guaranteeing 150 days rural employment annually, employment guarantee, state provided work for all seeking employment, Manrega alternative, propose improvements to existing employment guarantee scheme, rural employment, work opportunities in agricultural and non-urban areas, right to work, which is fundamental right claim that state must provide employment and work wage guarantee, assured payment for work at minimum wage rates. All right. Then we have the Finance Commission, grants to cities. Now, the 16th Finance Commission recommended direct grants from central government to urban local bodies bypassing state governments. Cities will receive 1.2 lakh crores over 5 years directly based on performance metrics, property tax collection, like property tax collection, sewage treatment, financial transparency, and so on. So previously, cities received funds only through state governments, who often diverted urban funds to rural areas. States protest this as a violation of federal structure, where municipalities are state subjects under Article 243W. Now, this represents fundamental restructuring of urban finance. The Constitution's 74th Amendment created municipalities as third tier of governance under state government. Now, financial flows followed this hierarchy: center to states, states to municipalities. Now, direct center ULB grants bypass states entirely, creating direct central local relationship. Now, this follows similar pattern in education, where centrally sponsored schemes like Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan fund schools directly. Now, states argue this violates constitutional structure, where municipalities are state subjects under state list, entry 5, and Article 243W gives states power to determine municipal functions and finances. Direct central grants reduce state leverage over municipalities. Now, India's urbanization is accelerating. 38% urban population today projected to reach 50% by 2035. Cities drive 65% of GDP, but receive inadequate resources due to state government neglect. Now, Finance Commission, again, constitutional body recommending state revenue sharing. Urban local bodies, municipalities and municipal corporations governing cities. Direct grants, central government funding to cities bypassing state governments. Fiscal federalism, financial relationships between different government levels. Municipal finance, revenue sources and expenditure patterns of city governments. And the 74th Amendment, which is the constitutional amendment creating municipalities as third governance tier. Next, we have the recognition of volunteer care work. So the Ministry of Statistics announced inclusion of unpaid care work in GDP accounting through satellite accounts. Women's unpaid labor, child care, elder care, household management, community service will be valued at market rates for equivalent services. Preliminary estimates suggest unpaid care work equals 20 to 30% of GDP. Now, this doesn't change official GDP figures, but creates parallel accounting showing total economic contribution, including unpaid work. The move follows a UN system of national accounts guidelines on non-market production. Now, women spend 9.8 hours daily on unpaid care work versus 2.5 hours as per NSSO time use survey. This work, cooking, cleaning, childcare, elderly care, is essential for household functioning and enables paid workforce participation by other family members. Yet GDP counts only market transactions, rendering women's contribution invisible. All right. So the current GDP accounting creates perverse incentive. Hiring domestic help for childcare adds to GDP, but mother caring for child doesn't. This undervalues women's economic contribution and justifies policy neglect. Visible care work accounting supports demands for policy responses like public child care infrastructure, elder care facilities, and recognition of unpaid work in social security systems. All right. So we have to understand that recognition is not merely symbolic. Once care work's economic value is quantified, policy interventions become justifiable as economic investments rather than social welfare. Childcare centers are not just helping women, but increasing GDP by enabling workforce participation. Elder care facilities are not charity, but productivity enhancements. Paid parental leave is not benefit, but acknowledgement of care work's economic value. You have to understand that care work is unpaid household labor, including childcare, elder care, and household management. Unpaid labor is again economic activity performed without monetary compensation. Gender equity, equal recognition and valuing of women's and men's contributions. Volunteer work, uncompensated productive activity for household or community benefit. Economic contribution, value created through labor regardless of payment. GDP accounting, national income measurement systems, including satellite accounts. Now, the opposite next is motion to remove Lok Sabha Speaker. Opposition parties filed a motion under Article 94 to remove the Lok Sabha Speaker, alleging partisan conduct. They cite instances where Speaker disallowed opposition questions, suspended members unilaterally, and expedited government bills without adequate debate. The motion requires 14-day notice and simple majority to pass. The Speaker refuses to resign voluntarily, arguing that opposition targets him for maintaining discipline. Now, this is the first serious speaker removal attempt since 1976 emergency era speaker MGS Rao faced removal motion. Now, the speaker is a guardian of parliamentary procedure, maintaining order and ensuring fair debate. Now, the role requires absolute impartiality, ruling against government when procedures demand, protecting opposition rights, and being final authority on House proceedings, subject only to courts on constitutional matters. Now, Article 93 establishes Speaker's position. Article 94 mandates removal only by House resolution with 14-day notice. The simple majority requirement means Speaker serves at majority party's pleasure. Now, specific allegations include Speaker allowing government to rush bills through House without referring to committees, restricting opposition speaking time, disallowing adjournment motions on critical issues, and suspending opposition members, preventing their participation. The Speaker defends actions as maintaining House discipline and following rules. Now, Speaker removal again process under Article 94 to remove Lok Sabha presiding officer. What is Article 94? Constitutional provision for Speaker's removal by House resolution, parliamentary crisis, breakdown of House functioning due to procedural conflicts, no confidence motion, resolution expressing lack of faith in Speaker's impartiality, constitutional expectation that Speaker acts without partisan bias. Constitutional procedure is formal process for Speaker's removal requiring 14-day notice. Next, we have the Cheetah movement, Kuno to Rajasthan. All right. So, six cheetahs from Kuno National Park have been relocated to Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan as part of the Project Cheetah's habitat expansion strategy. This move follows successful breeding in Kuno, 12 cubs born from the original Namibian and South African cheetahs translocated in 2022-23. Now, Ranthambore has been prepared with separate enclosures away from the tiger territories, adequate prey-based surveys completed, and monitoring infrastructure established. Now, this tests whether cheetahs can establish in multiple sites rather than single location dependency. Now, we have to understand that concentrating all cheetahs in Kuno creates a single point failure risk. Disease outbreak or natural disaster or territorial conflicts could wipe out the entire population. Wildlife conservation best practice requires multiple geographically separated populations. Now, Ranthambore already supports tigers, leopards, and hyenas, creating predator competition. Cheetahs rely on speed rather than strength, avoiding conflict by hunting different prey and times. The 28 cheetahs in India came from two African populations, Namibia and South Africa. Now, a small founding population creates inbreeding risk, reducing genetic fitness. Moving cheetahs between Kuno and Ranthambore mixes lineages, preventing related animal breeding. Now, future phases may import cheetahs from East Africa or Iran to further enhance genetic diversity. Cheetah translocation, moving animals from one location to another to establish population elsewhere. Kuno National Park, Madhya Pradesh sanctuary, where cheetahs were first reintroduced, and Ranthambore transfer, moving cheetahs to Rajasthan to create second population, wildlife conservation, protecting endangered species through habitat management and breeding programs. Project Cheetah, government initiative reintroducing cheetahs extinct in India since 1952, and habitat expansion, which is creating multiple sites to support wider species distribution. All right, so that's it for today. Stay consistent, stay sharp. See you tomorrow. Thank you.